Everyone sees the smiling photos, the romantic dinners, the anniversary posts with hearts and promises. But let me tell you about a couple I knew, Mark and Jennifer, 10 years married. Their social media looked like a love story written by Hollywood. Every weekend, new adventures. Every holiday, matching outfits and caption about soulmates. I saw them at a restaurant once. Jennifer was scrolling through her phone while Mark stared at his plate. Complete silence for 43 minutes. I counted. When the check came, she didn't even look up. Just slid her card across the table without breaking her scroll. 2 days later, another post. Best husband ever with a photo of them laughing. That disconnect, that performance versus reality, that's not unique to them. That's the script. The manufactured happiness industrial complex running at full speed. And Nietzsche saw through this charade over a century ago. He understood something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The relationship you're told to want, the coupling everyone celebrates, might be the most sophisticated trap ever designed by civilization. But here's what nobody tells you. The trap isn't obvious. It's not brutal. It's wrapped in flowers and sealed with a kiss. So stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see every couple you know. Now, before we go deeper, I'm curious. Where in the world are you watching this right now? Drop your city in the comments. I love seeing how far these ideas travel, and knowing that men everywhere are starting to question what they've been sold as happiness. Let's talk about what you actually see versus what's actually happening. Right now, there's a man taking his wife to an expensive restaurant he can't afford because it's their anniversary and expectations must be met. Another man is apologizing for working late even though he was working late to pay for the life she demands. Another is planning a surprise vacation while secretly calculating if his credit card limit can handle one more romantic gesture. And somewhere, someone is looking at their photos and thinking, relationship goals. Here's what Nietzsche understood about human nature that makes this whole system function. People don't want truth. They want comfort. And nothing is more comfortable than the lie that you're supposed to find one person, merge your entire existence with theirs, and call that completeness. He called this the herd mentality. But it's more than that. It's a collective agreement to pretend, to perform, to maintain the illusion, because if the illusion breaks, then everyone has to confront what they've actually signed up for. Let me show you how deep this goes. Think about the language around relationships. We say someone is your other half. Immediately, that linguistic choice implies you're incomplete alone. You're told to find your soulmate, one person out of 8 billion who magically completes you. You're taught that love conquers all, as if emotion can substitute for compatibility, shared values, or basic respect. Every phrase, every cultural message, every romantic comedy, they're all selling the same product. You're broken alone, you're whole together. And that's the first lie. Because if you actually look at happy couples, and I mean genuinely happy, not Instagram happy, you'll notice something interesting. They were already whole people before they met. They didn't complete each other. They complemented each other. There's a universe of difference between those two words. But the system doesn't sell complementary partnerships. It sells desperate incompleteness, seeking salvation through another person. Why? Because desperate people are profitable people. They buy bigger houses to start families. They take jobs they hate to maintain lifestyles they don't enjoy. They sacrifice dreams, ambitions, and authentic desires to keep the relationship functioning. The economy doesn't run on happy individuals. It runs on anxious couples trying to prove their relationship is worth the sacrifice. I've watched this pattern repeat itself so many times, it's almost mathematical. Meet someone. Feel the chemical rush your brain calls love but is actually just dopamine, oxytocin, and projection. Mistake that temporary neurological state for permanent truth. Make life-altering decisions during this chemical high. Marriage, shared finances, maybe children. Then the chemicals normalize. You return to baseline. And suddenly you're looking at a stranger wondering why the magic disappeared. But here's the trap within the trap. By the time you realize the magic was just chemistry, you're legally bound, financially entangled, and socially pressured to maintain the performance. Leaving becomes complicated. Staying becomes mandatory. And somewhere in that space between complicated and mandatory, genuine happiness dies. Not with drama, just quietly, like a plant nobody remembered to water. Nietzsche wrote that marriage turns a passionate love into a stale habit, but even he was being generous. Marriage doesn't turn passion into habit. The relationship itself does that. Marriage just makes escape exponentially harder. Think about the trajectory. The beginning is intoxicating. New relationship energy makes everything feel possible. Then cohabitation happens. You learn their actual habits, the way they chew, the sounds they make, the things they leave everywhere. The comments that once seemed quirky now feel like razor blades across your consciousness. But you can't say that, because couples therapy tells you love means acceptance. So you accept, you tolerate, you slowly sandpaper down your authentic reactions until you're smooth, polished, and completely unrecognizable to yourself. Years pass. You look in the mirror and wonder who's looking back. Because the person you became to maintain this relationship isn't the person you were before it. You've been molded, shaped, trained like a dog to sit, stay, and perform happiness on command. And the most dangerous part? You'll defend this process. You'll call it growth, maturity, learning to compromise. Because admitting it's erasure, admitting you've been slowly disappearing, that's too painful. Better to believe the story you've been sold. This is what love looks like. Every couple you admire, every relationship you've been told to emulate, behind the curtain there's some version of this happening. Not always, not every couple, but far more than anyone wants to admit. I know a man who's been married 23 years, successful by every external measure, beautiful home, great kids, respected in his community. I asked him once, honestly, "Are you happy?" He looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Happy? I don't even know what that word means anymore. I'm functional. I meet my obligations. I maintain the structure. But happy? I'm not sure I've been happy since my 20s before I signed the contract." That word, contract, that's what he called his marriage. Not a love story, a contract. And he's right. Because that's exactly what it is legally. A binding agreement with the state as the third party. Your romantic feelings are irrelevant to the legal structure. The state doesn't care if you love each other. It cares about asset division, custody arrangements, and financial obligations. Romance is the marketing. The contract is the product. And once you sign, you don't just marry a person. You marry the legal system. The government becomes the invisible third partner in your relationship with the power to redistribute your assets, assign custody of your children, and garnish your wages for decades. You volunteered for this. You celebrated it. You posted photos and called it the happiest day of your life. Here's what Nietzsche understood that most people miss. Humans are incredible at constructing elaborate justifications for their suffering. We're meaning-making machines. When we suffer, we don't just want to end the suffering. We want to believe the suffering has purpose. So we tell stories. This relationship is teaching me patience. This marriage is making me a better person. These struggles are bringing us closer. All of these might be true, but they might also be elaborate psychological defense mechanisms protecting you from a simpler, more devastating truth. You chose wrong, and now you're trapped. Not physically. You could leave, but psychologically, socially, financially, leaving becomes so complicated that staying seems like the only option. So you stay, and you construct meaning around your staying. You tell yourself stories about commitment, about working through problems, about honoring your vows. And maybe those stories are true. Or maybe they're just sophisticated forms of Stockholm Syndrome. You've been captured by your own choices, and now you're identifying with your captor. Look at how couples talk about their relationships. We're working on things. We're in therapy. We're trying to reconnect. Notice the language. It's all effort, all labor, all work. When's the last time you heard someone say, "Being with my partner is effortless joy"? You don't, because for most long-term couples, it's not. It's work. Constant, exhausting, never-ending work. And we celebrate this. We say relationships take work as if that's admirable. But why? Why should your primary, intimate relationship require the same language we use for jobs? Think about that framing for a moment. Your career takes work. Your business takes work. Your physical fitness takes work. These are understandable. You're building something, achieving goals, creating value. But your relationship, the thing that's supposed to be your refuge, your safe space, your source of emotional nourishment, that also takes work? Constant maintenance? Continuous effort just to keep it from falling apart? What exactly are you working toward? What's the goal? Staying together? That's not a destination. That's just continued existence. And yet couples treat simply remaining coupled as an achievement worth celebrating. 25 years together, 30 years, 40 years. Anniversary posts celebrating duration as if length of time proves quality of experience. But duration proves nothing except your capacity to endure. I've seen prisoners serve longer sentences than some marriages. Should we celebrate their endurance too? Here's what's actually happening in most long-term relationships. Two people made a decision years ago, sometimes decades ago, based on who they were then, based on the information they had then, based on the lives they imagined then. But people change, desires evolve, goals shift. The person you are at 25 isn't the person you are at 45. The life you wanted at 30 isn't the life you want at 50. But the relationship, the marriage, that contract signed by your younger self that continues, binding current you to decisions made by a past version of yourself who no longer exists. Nietzsche called this the tyranny of the past over the present. Your previous choices holding your current life hostage. And nowhere is this more evident than in aging couples who stay together, not because they want to, but because they've already invested so much that leaving feels like admitting defeat. Economists call this the sunk cost fallacy, the irrational tendency to continue investing in something because you've already invested so much, even when continuing clearly makes things worse. Business people understand this trap. They cut their losses, they pivot. They recognize when an investment isn't working and redirect resources. But in relationships, this same wisdom is called giving up. Quitting, breaking your commitment. The language itself is designed to trap you. So couples stay, they celebrate anniversaries, they post photos, they maintain the performance. And behind every performance, there's a reality they're not showing you. Let me tell you about the hidden misery, the kind nobody posts about, the kind that doesn't make it to couples therapy because both people have agreed, consciously or unconsciously, to never speak it aloud. It's the husband who stopped desiring his wife years ago, but maintains the routine because what else would he do? It's the wife who secretly fantasizes about the life she gave up, but pushes those thoughts down because mothers aren't supposed to have regrets. It's both of them lying in bed at night, inches apart, feeling completely alone, but unable to voice that loneliness because voicing it would mean confronting it. It's the slow realization that you've built an entire life with someone you're no longer sure you even like. And the most terrifying part? You can't remember exactly when it changed. There was no dramatic moment, no betrayal, no crisis. Just a slow, steady erosion of everything that once felt alive. But you can't say this at dinner parties. You can't post this on social media. You can't admit this to friends who are maintaining their own performances. So you smile. You laugh at the right moments. You participate in the collective delusion that everyone's relationship is basically fine. I watched this play out at a wedding recently. The speeches were full of advice from married couples. The secrets to a lasting relationship: communication, compromise, never going to bed angry. All the standard lines. But I noticed something. Every person giving advice looked exhausted. Not physically tired, existentially drained, like they were reciting survival strategies from a war zone rather than celebrating love. And the bride and groom smiled and nodded, completely unaware they were receiving instructions for endurance, not guidance for happiness. That's the hidden misery. It's not dramatic, it's not explosive. It's the quiet recognition that you signed up for forever based on a temporary feeling. And now forever is stretching out before you like a prison sentence you're pretending is a vacation. Nietzsche wrote about the death of God, but he could have written about the death of romance. The slow, inevitable process by which the initial passion that justifies the relationship dies, and what remains is obligation, habit, and social pressure. The relationship becomes a zombie, still moving, still functioning, but nothing's alive inside it. You can see this in how couples interact in public. Watch them at restaurants. The silence isn't comfortable. It's empty. Watch them shopping. The interactions are transactional. Watch them at parties. They barely acknowledge each other. They've become business partners in the enterprise of maintaining appearances. But here's what nobody wants to acknowledge. Some people are genuinely happy alone. Not damaged, not broken, not going through a phase. Actually, completely, authentically happy in their solitude. And their existence is a threat to every couple maintaining the performance, because if happiness doesn't require coupling, then what are all these people suffering for? What's the point of the compromise, the sacrifice, the slow erosion of self? This is why single people, especially men who are genuinely content alone, face such aggressive social pressure. Your existence is evidence against the narrative. You're living proof that the thing they've sacrificed everything for might be optional, and that's unbearable. Because if it's optional, then their suffering was chosen, not forced by nature or biology or human need. Chosen. And chosen suffering requires justification, so they justify it. They tell you you're missing out. They warn you about dying alone. They pathologize your contentment as fear of commitment, or emotional unavailability, or unresolved trauma. Anything except accepting the simple truth that you looked at what they have and decided you didn't want it. Nietzsche called this resentment, the psychological state where people who feel powerless create moral frameworks that condemn those with what they secretly desire. The married person who's trapped convinces themselves that the single person is actually the one suffering. The coupled person who's miserable creates a worldview where being alone is the ultimate failure. Not because it's true, but because believing it's true makes their own suffering tolerable. This is why happy bachelors face more judgment than miserable ones. A struggling single man confirms the narrative. See, you need a relationship, but a thriving single man breaks it. He's evidence that everything they believe about human need might be constructed rather than fundamental. So they attack, they mock, they try to convert, because your contentment is dangerous to their worldview. Let me show you the mathematics of relationship misery. Imagine you meet someone. The first year is amazing. That's the honeymoon phase. Chemicals, novelty, projection. Year 2, you start seeing reality. Some cracks appear, but you work through them. Year 3 through 5, you're building a life together. Buying things, making plans, getting comfortable. Year 5 through 10, maintenance mode. The exciting parts are rare. Most of it is routine. Year 10 through 20, you're more roommates than lovers. But you've got kids, shared assets, intertwined lives. Leaving is complicated. Year 20 through 30, you're just waiting. For kids to grow up. For retirement. for something to change even though nothing will. Year 30 plus, you're congratulated for enduring, for staying, for not leaving. And you smile and accept the congratulations even though you stopped living decades ago. Not everyone follows this trajectory. Some couples genuinely thrive. Some people truly love their partners. But ask yourself honestly, how many couples do you know who seem genuinely happy versus how many seem to be going through the motions? The ratio is devastating. And yet we keep selling the same story. Find someone, commit forever. That's the path to happiness. Even though the evidence all around us suggests it's not. The evidence suggests it's the path to comfortable misery, to socially acceptable suffering, to shared mediocrity dressed up as partnership. But questioning this story makes you the problem. You're cynical, damaged, unable to love, commitment phobic. The labels are designed to dismiss your observations rather than address them, because addressing them would require admitting something uncomfortable. Most people in long-term relationships are not primarily happy. They're primarily habituated. They become so accustomed to their situation that they've forgotten what alternative possibilities might exist. They're not staying because it's good. They're staying because leaving is hard. And humans are exceptional at rationalizing why the hard thing must also be the wrong thing. So they stay, they perform, they post the photos, they celebrate the anniversaries. They give advice to younger couples. They maintain the entire apparatus of cultural mythology around relationships. And beneath all of it, there's a quiet desperation that nobody's allowed to name. Nietzsche saw through this. He understood that humans create elaborate social structures to protect themselves from uncomfortable truths. And one of the most uncomfortable truths is that most of what we call love is actually just mutual dependence, shared financial interest, and fear of being alone dressed up in romantic language. That's the hidden misery behind happy couples. Not that they hate each other. Most don't. It's that they're living lives they didn't consciously choose, maintaining relationships through inertia rather than desire, and calling this existence love because the alternative, admitting they're trapped, is too painful to face. Now here's where this gets really interesting. Write this in the comments because I want to see how many people recognize this truth. Write, I see the performance. Let me know you understand what's really happening behind those smiling photos and anniversary posts. Because the more people who recognize the script, the fewer people will blindly follow it. And that recognition, that awareness, that's the first step toward actual freedom. Subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep pulling back the curtain on everything society tells you is mandatory, but is actually optional. Hit that like button if this perspective challenged something you've been taught to accept without question. Because that's what we do here. We question everything, especially the things everyone agrees are beyond questioning. And stay watching because what I'm about to show you next will make everything you think you know about success look like a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you trapped in systems that serve everyone except you. The truth is waiting, and it's more powerful than any comfortable lie you've been told.